Hello and welcome to another episode of Between Two Nerds, where, as if you've seen one before by now, you will know that we invite a tiny, today, human being on to have a little chat with us about science. And this week's particularly small human is...
Oscar Blue, and I'm 6 years old.
Oscar Blue is 6 years old?
Yeah.
That's a good age, good number, that.
And you know the nerds, I'm Mo, and I'm definitely not 6 years old.
And
I'm 7 years old.
I'm Eugene, and I was 6 years old.
A very, 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 very long time ago.
A couple of years.
Back in the dinosaur times.
What?
Okay.
So, Oscar Blue, is there something you would like to discuss?
The ocean.
The ocean. Good topic.
Yeah.
What do you want to know about the ocean?
It's big.
It's massive. If you're going to ask, is it big? The answer is yes.
So what's your question, Oscar Blue?
Why are all the animals spread apart and not all together in a group and stuff?
That's a great question. So what as in the stuff that lives in the sea?
Yeah.
So the fish and the whales and the crabs and the turtles. Yeah. That's a good question. Why are they all spread apart? It kind of goes back to how big is the ocean? It's massive. Massive. So most of our planet is actually ocean. So that's why we call it the blue planet. So if you see it from space, most of the planet looks pretty blue. Now, and let's pretend you're a fish. You want to be a fish?
Yeah.
Can you name a fish?
Nemo.
Nemo.
All right, you're Nemo. I think you make a great Nemo. So, now, do you know where Nemo lives?
In the coral reef.
Oh, wow!
Good job, dude.
So, let's take that coral reef. Now, all the ocean, and where we are, we can actually look out the window and see the ocean. Everywhere you go in the ocean, if I was swimming anywhere in the ocean, and I had my goggles on, and I look down, I'm not always going to see a coral reef. So there's some really deep parts of the ocean. There's some shallow parts of the ocean. And coral reefs, think of them like the flower gardens of the ocean.
Okay.
Because they've got all those pretty things. Now, what do plants need to survive?
Sunlight.
Oh,
Good job.
perfect answer. So now, if I was living super, super deep in the ocean, do you think I'd get much sunlight?
No.
No. So those coral reefs have to live near the top and in the shallowest areas of the ocean. And most of those shallow areas are near, not all, but most are near the coast, where the land meets the sea.
Yeah.
So there you've got coral reefs, flower gardens, where you, Nemo, live, because you like to live in that coral reef, because that coral reef for you has everything you need.
Yeah.
It has all your food, it has a little house for you to live in, all your friends to play with. If you're a big clownfish, you might have a girlfriend or a wife. You might have baby clownfish. Now, for you to be safe and have everything you need, you want to be in a good home. So you would live on the coral reef and you'd stay there.
Yeah.
Apart from in the movie. In the movie, Finding Nemo,
he does go across the ocean.
what happens? He gets lost. Major problems. So you want to stay in your coral reef. And it's a bit like humans. So you have a choice of where to live as humans. But for us, we do work, you go to school, and all those things are centered around a town or a city. So everything you need is in one little area. So that fish doesn't want to move around. But there's other fish out there. And actually, there's lots of coral reefs. So there's more than one coral reef. So if you imagine all the ocean around the world,
Yeah.
you've got lots of little coral reefs. And each one is like a little town. So can you name a city anywhere in the world? Where are you from?
England.
England. Whereabouts in England?
London.
London. So London's a big city where lots and lots of people live and everything they need is there. Can you name another city? Where are we right now?
Dubai.
Dubai, absolutely. It's an emirate, but it's a big city and it has the same stuff. So lots of people choose to live in Dubai, or they choose to live in America, and you might say New York, and there's cities all over the world. So all over the world in the oceans, there's coral reefs, and there's lots of little Nemos living in all those coral reefs. So they don't all mix together. Once they've found their home city, their home coral reef, they live there and have their little community. But some fish, can you think of a bigger fish? Any big fish?
I was going to do the Jaws theme, but I think that will just go.
What's my favourite fish?
A shark?
A shark.
Shark,
Good answer. Now, sharks, there's all sorts of different kinds of sharks, but big sharks. So let's take a great white shark. Now, do you think they would find it easier to travel a long way than you as a tiny little Nemo clownfish?
Yes.
Yeah, they're bigger. They swim faster. It takes less energy for them to travel distance. So what they do, we call them pelagic. Can you say pelagic?
Pelagic.
Pelagic fish. Now, pelagic fish is a fish that likes to move around. So it like kind of moves from one town to another town to another town.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
pelagic fish are fish that travel.
Really? Okay.
Now, why would a fish,
Learn
so if
something
I'm a
new.
big shark, why do you think I might travel and want to move around?
To see new things. Or
Great.
Sightseeing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sightseeing, send a postcard, tell my friends, guys, you've got to go over here. Why else? What do sharks need?
food.
Food, exactly. So the sharks, as a pelagic fish, they'll move across the oceans, and generally they're being driven because they want food. So let's say I eat baby seals. Yum, 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 yum. And I am somewhere where there's lots of baby seals, somewhere, let's say Australia, which is a big island in the southern hemisphere, the bottom part of the world. It is?
I mean, bottom, top.
Well, let's not get into that. So, and I'm eating lots of baby seals because all the seals have had their babies. Yum, 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 yum. But all the seals have their babies at kind of the same time. So at some point, there's no more baby seals for me to eat. So I can either hang out and have nothing to eat, or I could go off where I know, because my friends have told me, I could swim thousands of kilometres to somewhere else in the ocean where someone else is having lots of babies, maybe more seals, and then I'll eat those.
Or it's also so you have some fish like sardines, right? You know what sardines are?
Yeah.
You don't want to be a
Come in
sardine.
a can.
Yeah, don't be a sardine.
So sardines like the water to be a certain temperature, right? They like it warm, I'm guessing, or cold. Let's say either or.
A certain temperature.
Yeah, like a certain temperature. But the temperature on our planet, some parts have. So right now we are entering the winter here in Dubai, but on the other side of the world, they're in the summer. So the temperatures change. That means the waters around those places change. So the sardines keep swimming, trying to find the following
Best
the
temperature.
best temperature water. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. And then now the fish that eat the sardines will keep following them, right? And then the fish that eat those ones, or not fish, like mammals, will also keep following that. So they all move. It's just about really where they can find food and be safe. And if it happens to be in a coral reef, then that's where they will be. If it happens to be just traveling across the ocean or across the coast, then that's what they'll do. And but in the open ocean, right, because it's so deep, not enough light, so that's why there's less life around there.
It's so big. So if you're a pelagic and you're swimming around in the middle of the ocean, so let's say you've left here and you've gone out so you can't see any more land and you're miles away from anything, it's much, much harder to find food because it's so big. So there might be a school, we call it a school, of really yummy fish that you like to eat. But finding it is really hard when the ocean's so big. It's like if I took you into the middle of the desert and said, right, find me an oryx, which is a big animal that lives in the desert.
Yeah.
If you can't see one, where are you going to go?
I don't know.
Exactly. It's really hard to find. So most fish, even the pelagics, will turn up at places at certain times of year where they know there's going to be loads and loads of food. Make sense?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
What else would you like to know about the ocean?
Why is it blue?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Why is it blue?
I don't know.
That's why you asked it.
Well, lots of the classic, which is wrong, is why is the sky? Why is the water blue? It's because it's reflecting. Because water is reflective, so people think it's because it's reflecting the blueness of the sky, but that's not entirely true.
Yeah.
It's more to do with rainbows. Huh?
You ever seen a rainbow?
Only on like TVs and
Yeah.
stuff.
Do you know what colors you have in the rainbow?
Blue.
Okay, that's the one we were going for.
Right.
So there is blue in the rainbow.
What other colours?
Green.
Yeah.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Orange.
Yeah.
Mm,
Red,
pink.
pink. Yeah, kind of.
Turquoise.
Turquoise. There's
Sure.
something I call turquoise. Beautiful. And that all comes from light. What colour is light? It's a tough question.
White.
Very
Oh,
good answer.
job.
So,
Yeah, it is white.
light looks white. So you've got a big light now, and it looks pretty white, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But actually, that light is all the colours of the rainbow. And they're all moving in a slightly, the colours move in a slightly different way. So they move a bit like the ocean in waves. Make sense?
Yeah.
So, but the red light, that wave might be like this, ooh, a big wallowing wave. Whereas, let's say the blue light, that might be moving like this, much choppier wave, different wave. Now, what's the ocean made of?
Water.
Absolutely right. So, the ocean is made of water, and when the light hits the water, those different waves, so that big red wave finds it really easy to just go through that water. And the yellow waves, they're big waves like this, and they find it really easy to go through that water. But you know the blue wave, it's like this, that doesn't find it easy to get through the water. So when that hits the water, that blue wave kind of gets scattered everywhere. And that's what you see. So all the other colours just go through that water.
Yeah.
But the blue waves, because they're a different shape, they get scattered into your eyeballs. And that's why the ocean looks blue. And it's the same reason that the sky is blue.
Exactly. Because of the air in our atmosphere, right, does the exact same thing. So the nitrogen, oxygen in the air. So when the light from the sun hits it, the red and the yellows all go through, but the blue light gets scattered, and that's why our sky looks blue. And if you were on another planet where there isn't nitrogen and oxygen in the air, it would be a different color. It wouldn't be blue.
Yeah, green sky, yellow sky, red sky.
Yeah.
What colour would you make the sky?
Keep it blue.
Keep it blue. I thought you'd say that. I agree with you.
Have you ever seen a red sky, though?
Only on I've seen it in on pictures. I've seen it.
Well, your parents should take you out more.
How about when the sun's going down, right? So at sunset, what color does the sky look then?
Like yellow, orange, and red.
Very good.
Yeah, because now the sun is lower in the sky, right?
Yeah.
And instead of just the blue light being scattered, right, it's the red light that gets scattered because it's like a different angle. So the color of the sky changes at sunrise when the sun's going up, and when it's setting, it's reddish orange. Right?
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
Any other oceany questions?
Why isn't that ocean just ocean? It's land and ocean.
That's another great question.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't always the case. There was a time when our Earth was just land.
Do you remember it?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
You don't remember it.
It's a very long time ago. Maybe Eugene might remember.
Pre-Eugene.
Pre-Eugene. So very, very long time ago. So when the Earth was first made, it was really hot and it was all pretty much lava. A big ball of lava in space.
Yeah.
And there just was no water yet. And the lava cooled and we got land, right? And still no ocean yet. And water, so the water for our oceans, right? We think actually, we're not quite sure where it came from. We actually think it might have come to us from space.
Cool.
Yeah. Does it rain down? Does water rain down from space?
Cloud, not space.
Yeah, clouds.
Exactly.
Good, exactly, clouds. So do you think, so there are these big, giant ice cubes floating around in space.
Mm.
That's weird, right? We don't call them ice cubes.
We should.
Yeah, that would be
We
way
should call
more
them
cooler.
ice cubes.
They're called comets. Have you heard of comets?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have asteroids, which are mostly rock, and then you have comets, which are a mixture of rock and a lot of ice. So scientists think that actually these comets hit our Earth at the start when the Earth was just made, and that ice, what would happen to the ice when it hit the Earth?
It melts.
Yeah, it melts, and that melted comet ice turned into our oceans.
Notice the Earth is not perfectly smooth.
Yeah.
So you get hills.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a hill?
Yes.
Good.
There's
Have
not
you ever
many
seen-
of those around here.
I know. I was looking
Yeah,
out the window.
yeah.
You ever seen where the Earth goes low and a valley? Well, let's take your bath. Have you ever seen a bath?
Yes.
Right. So imagine the bath is planet Earth. And we're going to fill that bath with water. Now, at the point where you're going to get in the bath, there's bits of the bath that are still above the water, around the sides.
Yeah.
So that's like our land. And then there's other bits of the bath that are underwater, and that's like the bottom of the ocean. So the bits of land that are high enough are land. And the bits that aren't high enough get covered in the water. So the ocean isn't one depth. Do you know the deepest place in our ocean?
Yeah.
Do you? What is it?
Mariana Trench.
Oh my
Good
goodness.
job.
Well done.
I can get on for that. Mariana's Trench. Yeah.
So that is super, super deep. It's like 11 kilometers, so you know the Burj Khalifa, don't you?
Yeah.
So
you could fit about more
you
than
could fit
11.
about 15, let's say. That might be wrong, but let's say 14, 15 Burj Khalifas, end on end, underwater before you got to the bottom. So that's crazy deep. Now, if you go out there and you just step into the ocean, it might be that deep. And as you walk up the hill, you'll come out of the ocean and you'll be on the beach. So all the higher bits of land are the bits that we live on, and all the lower bits are the bits that get covered. So that's why you get some land, thankfully, and some ocean.
Yeah.
If all the land was lower, where would we live? Well, you'd be all right because you're a clownfish.
But if like the ice in Antarctica, right, and the North Pole and the Arctic melt, now do you think we have more water on our planet, more liquid water, or less? If all the ice on planet Earth melts,
More.
more.
Okay.
Good. So we have more water. Actually, not the Arctic, just the Antarctic. I just realized that. Yeah. So now we have more water. Now, do you think the lowest bits, like around the beaches, do you think that would still? You think you still have a beach where we do now?
Yes. Yeah.
But would it be above the water or below the water?
Above.
It'll actually be below because now we have more water, so the seas will rise, and all these lower bits will be underwater and disappear under the sea, which won't be great. And then we'd have to move to higher parts. Yeah, there are actually some countries, some parts of our world that are actually very, very low lying. So the Netherlands in Europe. Would you know?
Holland.
Holland.
You heard of Holland?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually a very low country. So to get the land, they had to push all the water out and build walls to keep the water away, right? Just to have the land where they live on right now. But if now the waters rise,
Doesn't sound safe.
Yeah, it does not. I don't know why. There's loads of land around there as well. So yeah. So this could change. The amount of land you see out on the globe right now would change if the water levels changed.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little bit. Any other questions? Doesn't have to be.
No.
Nope.
Awesome. Have you learned something?
Yeah.
Will you tell every human that you know your new
Human
knowledge?
clownfish
Sorry.
around the coral reefs.
Tell all your
Right.
other fishy friends.
Dory.
Bruce the shark.
Oh, yeah.
Unless he's gone off to eat
What's
some
the
seal
turtle
somewhere.
dude?
Oh, the turtle dude. What's
The,
the name of the turtle?
spacey turtle guy.
Goes in the currents.
Yeah.
Well, high five. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oscar
Draw a
Blue.
wave at the camera.
As we sign off. And thank you guys for listening and watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right, do the clap, do the clap, do the clap, do the clap.
There you go. Bye.
Good job.
Good job, dude.